Hi, this is Mike Maloney, and Elon Musk of SpaceX and Tesla just came out with part 2 of his master plan. And the first part of his master plan was written about 10 years ago. And this is what I love. This is free market capitalism, entrepreneurialism at its best. This is a man that has a mission, and he wrote down this master plan on how he was going to accomplish his mission. I'll get to his mission later in the article here, but he was first going to create a low-volume car which would necessarily be expensive. The reason it's expensive is because it's low volume. There's no way to make a car that's basically a proof of concept. Remember, electric technology had been dead for more than 70 years as far as cars go. Electric cars were actually predominant back in the year 1900. There were more electric cars in the United States than there were internal combustion vehicles. But they died off in the 20s, so this was a brand new technology, basically, an electric car that would work. So it was going to be expensive because it had to be low volume, and then use that money to develop a medium volume car at a lower price, and then use that money to create an affordable high volume car. And they just announced the Model 3 a little while ago, and that looks like it's going to be a fantastic car, and it is at a much more affordable price, and they've sold a ton of them already, and to provide solar power. Now, a lot of people don't know that Elon Musk is also the chairman of the board of Solar City, which is the largest solar panel installation company in the United States. And so that's been on his website for 10 years. But the reason that he had to start off with step 1 was because that's all he could afford to do with his own money that he made on PayPal when he sold PayPal. And the list of successful car companies is short. As of 2016, the total number of car companies that haven't gone bankrupt is a grand total of 2, Ford and Tesla. And you know, I can remember when I was a kid, Packard merged with Studebaker and then went out of business, and Rambler became American Motors and then went out of business. International Harvester, which made big trucks, but they also made smaller trucks, passenger trucks. They went out of business. You probably remember DeLorean or the movie Back to the Future. He went out of business. And more recently, Oldsmobile. Now, I started wondering how many car companies went out of business, and I ran across this list of defunct automobile manufacturers of the United States on Wikipedia, and there's the A's, there's the B's, there's the C's. I didn't bother to try and count these, but I'm pretty darn sure that this is in the hundreds of car companies, possibly even higher. It's quite an impressive list, and to have a car company that succeeds is almost an impossible task, and he did pull it off. So also, the low volume car means much smaller, simpler factory, but with most things done by hand. Without economies of scale, anything built would be expensive, so it didn't matter what he built, it was going to cost a lot, whether it was an economy sedan or a sports car. So while some people would be prepared to pay a high price for a sports car, no one was going to pay $100,000 for an electric Honda Civic, no matter how cool it looked. Now I'm going to take a little detour here because I have been a Tesla supporter for a long time, an Elon Musk supporter. This is my first Tesla. It's a 2010 Tesla Roadster. It was number 963. These are the most reliable, amazing cars that I have ever experienced. I've never driven a car this reliable, this well sorted out, and this fun. It is an incredibly fun little tiny vehicle. It met with a tragic end. I was only able to put about 18,000 miles on this car, and some kid that was playing Speed Racer up in the Santa Monica Mountains went into a corner too fast, hit an SUV, lost control, and hit me in the middle of my lane, destroying the car. But I was lucky, just a few months later, I was able to find another one. I loved this car so much. I wanted one exactly like it, and I found one exactly like it. This is Roadster number 1294. It's a 2011, so it's a lot closer to the very end of production. And I'll tell you, this is a great, great car. Once you have driven a really good electric car, it renders all other cars idiotic. You just can't get in them and take them seriously anymore. If you tried to take this away from me and give me a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, a Bugatti, I mean, I would just be crying if somebody took this car away from me. I love these little cars. They quit making this in 2011, but when I get in this car, I feel like I'm driving a piece of the future. It is quick as lightning. It does 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds, yet it gets the energy equivalent of 125 miles per gallon. And they built so few of them that even today, people stop me and say, I've never seen one of those before. Another thing that can happen to you once you've driven a truly great electric car like a Tesla is that you become an electric car evangelist. You get so excited about them, you start telling everybody about them. And many times, when I used to do videos and I'd talk about Teslas once in a while, and people started accusing me of, you're pumping Tesla stock. You own Teslas and you just want to pump that stock up. I have to make a disclosure here. I have never owned Tesla stock. I own gold and silver. I support Elon Musk and Tesla by buying his products, not by owning his stock. And these have been my daily drivers for quite a few years now. It's just reliable as can be. It's one of the few cars that's sort of in the supercar category that you can drive on a daily basis. But there was a little while where I wasn't driving this on a daily basis. I only drove them on weekends because I took delivery of car number 599 of the Tesla Model S Signature. So the 599th car of the first 1,000 cars that they sold to the public. And this is probably the best car ever made. Today, they are the safest car ever tested by any government. They are the quickest production sedan ever made. In fact, there's only about a dozen cars in the world that are quicker than this. It does 0 to 60 in Motor Trend, got 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. That's insane. There are perhaps a dozen cars in the world that can beat this to 60. They all have 2 doors, and they start at $250,000 and go up. So the safest car, the quickest production sedan, it gets the energy equivalent of 89 miles per gallon, and it's American. The best car in the world is once again an American car. They're really awesome. They handle well, but I ended up selling mine because they're nowhere near as fun as the little Roadster, and the Roadster remains a really special car. But to get back to the article, the reason that he is doing this is the point of all this was and remains accelerating the advent of sustainable energy so that we can imagine far into the future and life is still good. That's what sustainable means. It's not just some silly hippie thing. It matters to everyone. And so he's got a mission here where he is trying to change the world for the better, and he goes about it gambling his own money on an almost impossible task, starting up an electric car company, which he says himself was idiocy squared, yet he did it and he accomplished it. So now let's get to the part 2 of the plan. So this is what he's going to do to make that day come sooner, the day of sustainable energy. He's going to integrate energy generation and storage. He's going to create smoothly integrated and beautiful solar roofs with battery products that just work, empowering the individual as their own utility, and then scale that throughout the world. One ordering experience, one installation, one service contract, and one phone app. And he's going to do that by merging Tesla and SolarCity. And so he's going, and he already makes these power cells called the Powerwall for solar arrays. And so by merging Solar City with Tesla, you can go and buy a car and the energy generation plant to operate the car all in one place and get it installed in your house. And then he's going to expand Tesla to cover all major forms of transport. And right now, they're making a premium sedan and an SUV. They just introduced the Model 3, which is affordable. They're planning on introducing a future SUV, and I sure do wish he wouldn't. I wish he didn't introduce a minivan, because they could make a minivan that looks like a spaceship, goes like a Model S, which means a sports car or a bat out of hell, and carry 10 or 12 people. And with that skateboard chassis that they've got and the battery pack in the floor, they could even do cargo vans that would handle like a sports car because of the low center of gravity, yet you'd be able to stand up in them. Then motorhome companies would use those to create wonderful electric motorhomes. So he goes on to say that the step before he gets to creating all of the different kinds of terrestrial vehicles, transport, is to turn the factory itself into a product. So his factories are going to have iterations and become more and more efficient and more flexible. And the two other types of electric vehicles needed are heavy-duty trucks and high passenger density transport. This is one thing that minivan that I was talking about could serve as, if you're listening, Elon. So with the advent of autonomy, it would probably make sense to shrink the size of buses and transportation, and the role of the bus driver would be relegated to that of a fleet manager. Traffic congestion would improve and so on. And what he's talking about here is that the buses can be autonomous. They don't need a driver. So a whole lot of the area inside the bus is then freed up for passengers. And the buses can be summoned. If you don't have a phone, you can summon them on your app. They'll come and pick you up anywhere. And they'll drop you off anywhere. And then, as the technology matures, all Tesla vehicles will have the hardware necessary to be fully self-driving. He's also anticipating a significant time gap, varying widely by jurisdiction, before true self-driving is approved by regulators. But once it is, when it's approved, it means that you'll be able to summon your Tesla from pretty much anywhere, and once it picks you up, you'll be able to sleep, read, or do anything else en route to your destination. You'll also be able to add your car to the Tesla shared fleet just by tapping a button on the Tesla phone app and have it generate income for you while you're at work or on vacation, significantly offsetting and at times potentially exceeding the monthly loan or lease cost. This could dramatically lower the true cost of ownership to the point where almost anyone could own a Tesla. So this is amazing. And then in cities where the demand exceeds the supply of customer-owned cars, Tesla will operate its own fleet, ensuring that you can always hail a ride from us no matter where you are. In other words, he's going into the business that Uber is in, but without drivers. The cars will you tap an app on your iPhone, and a Tesla will pick you up, and you're just paying for the ride in the car, and the car is doing all the work. So in short, the new master plan, the master plan part 2, is create stunning solar roofs with seamlessly integrated battery storage, expand the electric vehicle product line to address all major segments, develop a self-driving capability that is 10 times safer than manual driving via the fleet of Teslas doing all of their own learning, and then enable your car to make money for you while you aren't using it, so that it pays for itself. I think this is quite visionary. It is very compelling. It is exciting and gives hope for the future. It's something that I really wish Elon Musk the best of luck with, because he's gone up against all of the naysayers that say that he would go out of business. And he won because he's got a mission, he's got a dream, and nothing will stop him. Thanks for listening. If you got anything from this video, please like it, share it, and subscribe to our channel. We'll talk with you next time. Thanks.